talk through this little four gamer. As always with the little ones, you want to get a little bit different. I'm not really playing much, but any lineup I build, I'll put in the premium as an early build in there. And yeah, Sheets, any overall thoughts you want to go through?
Yeah, so I think it's helpful always to the night before. I don't know if it's actually helpful, but it's at least entertaining for me. Like the night before to figure out what I would think I'd want to play, before projections come out, and then you get poisoned by stuff like that. And I remember we talked about this last night in the during the live sweat. Is I thought that Mackenzie Gore was probably going to be my preferred guy, just instinctively, like the price versus the matchup. And then I thought that Rodriguez would be the other one. So I would think that Rodriguez and Gore would be the top two pitchers. And then we threw around the idea of maybe the Blanco as kind of a real cheap, a real kind of like a dart throw or something like that. And then like when I ran projections for this morning, I actually did see Gore. I have them all like really close as far as like points per dollar and stuff, like Gore, Beto, Rodriguez, and then I didn't get to like the other guys. So that was where I was coming into this, and then obviously a big decision point is what to do with like Giolito. And it was like it's very scary last night because we were talking about, oh my God, Luis Giolito 10K against the freaking Atlanta. That's freaking scary. You know what I mean? But yeah. I don't know. I think maybe on a 4-game slate you're supposed to do stuff like that. Just take the shot. So instinctively, I like Giolito, Erod, Gore, and the thing about the Beto is it seems like kind of too obvious. You know what I mean? Like it's 5,500 against Detroit, right? So I think I'd rather try for the Blanco. And one of the reasons why I think I'd rather try for the Blanco, again, this is just I'm just kind of like.
Just keep in mind, Blanco may not be starting. He's not official yet. Oh wait, they're just releasing their lineup because that game has no projected run total. So
right. So I see him probable, but the reason why I bring it up is because when I ran my first SaberSim build today, just with the projections I had, I was getting 150 lineups if I ran. I was getting all 150 with Cleveland stacks. Okay.
Yeah.
Which means that they probably are really cheap, that they probably look really good, and they're probably going to be hyper popular, right? So if you talk about getting different, then I'm back to putting Blanco in the mix, like presuming that he's actually pitching.
Right. I think he's going to be. I don't think he's any. I think he might be the most popular pitcher if he does pitch.
Blanco.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why SaberSim has him getting 100% Cleveland.
Yeah. As of right now, he's actually. It's really weird. There's a huge discrepancy in where everybody has him. You actually have your projections have him as the second highest owned pitcher, whereas like Goldie has him as like the 7th highest owned pitcher. But I think it's honestly because partly we don't know whether he's pitching or not.
Yeah, and that also is the one game with no lineups out, right? So.
Well, they just released the lineup, which should mean we should know whether he's pitching, and it looks like he is ready to go. So that part of you got. And I understand your argument. I just want to point out some things about Beto that you probably didn't notice. He's been coming out of the bullpen, and they're full starting him today. The last 2 times they started him, he went much deeper into the game, and he had 14 and 16 fantasy points in those 2 games. So you're not looking at him as an opener today.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And obviously it's a prime matchup against them. I hear what you're saying. I think that my favorite way to get different is to play Pittsburgh. I just don't think anybody's going to be playing them. And I also think there's absolutely zero need to 5-man stack today. If you want to do it just because that's what you're used to, go ahead. There's like literally 0.0 need to do it. I don't think if I built 150 that I would have more than maybe 10% of a 5-man stack at most.
Can I ask you something about the Cleveland lineup? Is Josh Naylor in or no?
I don't know. I don't know Cleveland's lineup. They just know Houston.
Oh, I thought you would tell me. I thought both lineups were in. Okay, fair enough. Okay.
No, yeah. But it's a good question. So I'm not playing much. I'm just playing little things. today, and I'm not really a fan of this slate, but I really think you can get different easily. So I had to throw something in because I think the Pittsburgh thing against
It's funny.
Eduardo Rodriguez.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest to deny a trade from Detroit to anywhere, much less to go to the Dodgers. I know he has some bad memories because the Dodgers lit him up a couple times when he was pitching for the Red Sox. But like, what the hell was he thinking? I still can't figure this one out.
Wait, what happened?
Erod was traded to the Dodgers and he rejected going. He's one of the few players who has a no trade clause, and he rejected being traded from Detroit.
Is it because he doesn't like LA? Is that the?
He wants to play on the East Coast, which he's not in Detroit, obviously.
That's pretty good. That's pretty cool. It's like, so he's up for a trade. He just doesn't want to play on the West Coast.
I don't even know if he's up for a trade. I don't know what other stuff. He just rejected that one. I'm happy he rejected it. I think he's a little bit smoke and mirrors at this point. I don't really want him in any part of a rotation for the team that good. So maybe I'm letting my heart drive it. It's only driving like $50 because I'm not playing very much today. But I do think that trying to get to Pittsburgh is not a bad idea here. Also pretty good hitting weather there. And then Atlanta's going to be popular, but that's what I'm using to fill out the stacks. And I actually like the Beto a little bit. And I like Mackenzie Gore's the number one pitcher for me. Just like sort of like you were saying. And you've got Scott's asking if it seems like a great spot for Milwaukee against Gore. I don't know why it would be a great spot. Gore's probably the best pitcher on the slate outside of Giolito, and that's only because Gore's younger. I do think Milwaukee will have ownership today, and I will not be playing the Milwaukee personally. Who are you liking for hitting?
Yeah, I don't know. So again, like I was getting all this Cleveland before, but it's like the late game, So I was hoping to wait again a couple of minutes before final. So let me share my screen just to show you actually literally what I'm doing here. So I'm like running a SaberSim build without even my projection, just the SaberSim one, just because I'm getting lazy here. And like if I run it with just the SaberSim builds, I'd be getting like Washington would actually be the top stack. And I'd be down for something like that, and it would actually be a bunch of it Washington with Atlanta. Now I'm curious what pitchers I get with stuff like that. Do I get to play Mackenzie Gore? Yeah, like basically Gore, Giolito, and Rodriguez, who are basically the three pitchers that I mentioned. But it's just that you got to play Washington to get there. And I don't think I have any problem with that. I like playing Abrams. I like playing Lane Thomas. Stone Garrett, I like getting. And Stone Garrett's sitting fourth at 2,200. What do you think of the Chirinos? I mean, is he just the guy who's just never going to pitch enough innings to play?
It's possible. I think Wade Miley is the next best pitcher. I don't have Washington is not good against lefties. I'm sorry, they're good. They hit the ball well against lefties, but they strike out a ton, or a good amount. Actually, in all fairness, let me double check my numbers because the truth is they've just faced a lot more lefties than most teams. Maybe it's a little tricky to figure out with them. But also this Washington lineup, we got to remember this is a terrible lineup. The worst version of it. They got rid of their best hitter.
Who?
Candelario, which is not saying much because he's not a great hitter. I mean, I guess Lane Thomas and Joey Meneses are okay.
Yeah.
But Wade Miley doesn't get it lit up much. I definitely wouldn't be stacking Washington. I think Wade Miley against Washington is probably my next favorite play behind the Mackenzie Gore and one of either Beto or Blanco. I actually can't decide between those two. So what are you getting there, Sheets, with the Sabres?
It looks like I said, this looks like just the opposite. This looks like a lot of Washington, the Angels. So what I did was I was originally in Washington, Atlanta, and then when I said, you know what, I don't feel like playing Chirinos. So if I X out Chirinos, they really want me to play the Angels. Mm-hmm. So as long as I don't, like you said, as long as I don't play like a lot of 5-man Washingtons, I don't mind the guys like Abrams and Thomas and Stone Garrett, I guess. If Meneses is in, is Meneses not in somehow?
Yeah, I mean, they're so cheap. Yeah, Meneses is in.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. This is legitimate. Even Alex Call at 2,500. I mean, this is not a big slate.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fine. I actually just think in that game, I just look at it as a huge edge for Miley, and I think I'm actually going to change my lineup to probably have Miley in it because I think he's actually the. I don't like the pitchers from the same game, but I think that those are my two favorite options, everything considered.
So what I'm going to do, and again, the Cleveland lineup is still not out, right?
Cleveland lineup is not out.
And I got to do something. Which is the 12-20 game?
The 12-20 game is the Braves.
Yeah, so that is a decision that's got to be made. So I'm just going to hold my spot for a minute. Then I'm probably going to rerun projections. But I definitely think also that what you could do on a slate this slate size this small is, again, you can embrace leaving money on the table as well.
Absolutely agree with that. CJ Abrams has 10 home runs this year. It's pretty. It's got to be like 8 more than the rest of his career.
He's got more. Does he have more than Jose Abreu or no?
Abreu's got he's actually not as bad anymore. What's he got, 9 now?
Oh, he came around. Okay.
I mean, it's not great. He's got 10, but he's got 10 in the last 40 games and 0 in the first 60 or something. And yeah, you feel free to use a hitter against your pitcher. Feel free to leave money on the table. All of these are total.
Well, that's an interesting question, and this comes up all the time with these small slates. Is at what slate size do you in general, right? Do you look into? I guess it does depend on the slate.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, if you talk to someone like a guy who's really, really sharp with this, like Cheese, he'll do it on like 6 or 7 game slates.
Oh, really?
Stuff, yeah. Because he sees it the right way. He's like, look, if you have a 2K guy who can steal bases with some power upside against a pitcher who doesn't walk many guys, but you can run on him if you do get on. There just ends up being times where you can do it. And as I've mentioned before, I've accidentally entered lineups that have won tournaments before that did that. I had a Mike Trout and a Dylan Bundy versus Dylan Bundy with 16 Ks in a complete game, one hit, 2 walks allowed, and the one hit and both walks were to Mike Trout, and the hit was a home run, and he stole a base also. So I had that lineup win me the big one night, and that was kind of embarrassing, but also at the same time pretty fun.
So this is interesting. So just for the hell of it, these are what the SaberSim lineups look like, just like without making any adjustments. And check out all this money that's left on the table in these things, like 1,900, 1,400, 1,700, 1,900. 2,000. The thing that I caution everybody when you use SaberSim to run lineups, especially in the small slates, what it'll do is its default is really for not max correlation, but just pretty high correlation. So it will really prioritize stacking to the point where it'll prefer a 5-3 stack where the 3 are like, $2,600 just kind of crappy players, as opposed to doing 3 one-offs of 4K players, and maxing out the salary. So just be careful with the SaberSim on the short slates, because you might get these. I'll just throw this one out there as an example. This one actually isn't that bad. But some of them you'll end up with like these. You have to think you'd be able to improve, leaving 2K on the table with all these 2K Washington guys, right? Like you'd have to think that there's a $4,500. Just take this lineup for example, like a $4,500 outfielder that's better in a vacuum than Alex Call, that you'd rather play, even if it means reducing your Washington stack from a 5-man to a 4-man. Right. So that's So listen, it's not just throw something in SaberSim build your lineups, and then just go to dinner. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have a little bit of a little bit of common sense in here as well, which I have to do right now, as a matter of fact. So what you could do in cases like that, right, when you get like builds, is one of two things. One, you could just go back and do a minimum salary thing. Or the other thing you could do is within stack types, just don't do this higher percentage of 5-3s, if you wanted to, Like just for example, let me see what the stack sizes would look like. I mean, the stack types. If I put like a minimum of 49,000, let's even give it a break. Let's make 49,000. Okay. So let's say we'll leave 1,000 on the table. We'll leave 2,000 on the table. I'm just curious what that will do to the SaberSim builds. I imagine it's going to just provide less 5-3s. I'm just guessing. Let's just see what that does. I got time, right? 17 minutes.
Yeah.
So if I did that, I'd still be getting a decent amount of 5-3s, which is a little kind of strange. I guess, do they really think that some of these guys have a good projection, even given their price, I suppose? Here's another thing you could do. Let's check this out. So I'm going back to this other build that I had all this money left on the table. I wonder what I'd do instead of sorting it by just small slate, if I just did it by projected score, like if I went a little chalkier. Yeah, that would definitely reduce those lineups that put money on the table, that left that much money on the table. And it would still get me 5-mans, but then it would get me more. Still, the Angels would be pretty well preferred. But I didn't even realize Travis d'Arnaud was catching today.
Yeah. It's a little bit cheaper for the Braves.
Yeah. And here, what kind of pitching would I be getting? I'd be getting, so a bunch of Blanco, Rodriguez, Beto, Gore. Like in this one, I'm not even getting any Giolito, which is
Yeah. So they released the final line, which makes me feel confident that BB is actually starting. I'm going to sort of reverse from what I was saying, because I was questioning whether he or Blanco was actually because when they don't release a line, usually that's what's happening. And honestly, BB and Gore, I think, are the best two pitchers on this slate, all things considered. BB's the best actual. Well, Giolito is just so all over the map; it's hard to know. But if you just look at Tanner Beebe and tell me why we wouldn't be playing him as the number one guy, I guess.
Well, I mean, they are playing Houston. That's got to be.
That's
Houston. That's tough, isn't it?
It's tougher than it was a few weeks. I mean, there's no Altuve's not playing today. They're not like. This is not like a murderer's row, this Houston team. They have a couple of really good hitters, and most of the rest of the guys are very, very average. They, I just don't look at them the way I used to. But they're solid. But there's 4 games. I mean, what are we choosing from here? So we'd rather play a guy who just we're praying has some sort of an upside of a median score for a guy like BB. I don't know. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Houston, against this year against righties is, just about average strikeout rate, below average on base percentage by one of the lower on base percentages, actually. So it doesn't look like at first glance there's a whole lot to feel that concerned about. But it is Houston. It is a better lineup than the other ones are releasing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know whether I want to play the Giolito or just do the pay down thing. I definitely like Gore the best. Maybe I should just go back to what I wanted to do at the beginning of the day. I just play Gore and Erod. Seems to be the safest, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, probably the safest would be Gore. I mean, and I wouldn't call Gore like a lock to be safe, but
no, definitely not. Is this Beto any good, or is he just playing Detroit?
I mean, he actually supposedly has pretty decent stuff, and it is against Detroit. So it's just they've been using him out of the bullpen. So you can't look at fantasy point production because we haven't. When he was starting, he actually pitched pretty well, with the exception of that one start. Maybe it was 2 starts against the Dodgers in Milwaukee. But he's 5,500, and I don't think we should overthink it too much.
Yeah.
Any of these guys are fine. Nobody is an awesome, sure thing play. Erod is probably going to end up the most popular of the
I would think so, right?
Yeah. Erod and Gore will probably be the most popular, yeah. And I think Beto, BB, Giolito, Blanco will all be similar. And I think that for some reason, no one will ever play Wade Miley. And
maybe you're on. Maybe you're on to something with the Wade Miley, huh?
I just don't understand it. Like the guy just like he's pretty consistently like at least puts up decent enough numbers. Every now and then he'll have a weird game, but mostly he's I don't know. I would play some of them.
Sleep. No, I want early. Yeah, I'm gonna. It's a little late, but I'm gonna put some stuff up on State Kings in case people are paying attention. Want a game? Walk off. Entry. I'll give everybody an extra 10 minutes. I'll give them until 12:30. Yeah, that's boy, those runs were just. They've been really putting up some runs, man. The Cubs are the 20 runs yesterday. That's
I know,
pretty,
wild.
that's pretty impressive. That's like, and was that against pitchers or did they ever bring position guys in?
I don't know.
Okay. What's the name of this? That's 66 today. So I'm doing that.
I don't know.
Slap hitter. Okay.
All right. Whenever you're ready, let me know. We can switch over to our new thing.
Yeah. We could cut out now. We can. Give me 5 minutes, and then we'll.
Okay, Okay. Yeah.
No, 12:15. We'll come back and we'll do the other main slate.
All right. Sounds good. Good luck, everybody.